Welcome to Genique. This is the part 2 final revision of electromagnetic theory. So we start with the continuity equation here. So before starting the continuity equation now, consider a volume charge. Okay, consider a volume charge. So the current coming out of that volume charge can be defined as I is equals to dq by dt. So I am writing this one as integral of dou rho v by dou t into dv. I am equating this to closed surface integral of j dot ds. So I have equated this to closed surface integral of j dot ds means because I have considered a volume charge. So because it is a closed surface, so that's why I have written this closed surface integral of j dot ds. So by using the Gauss divergence theorem, I am equating this to this. Okay, from this one to this one, if you equate these two, I am getting del dot j is equals to dou rho v by dou t. So what is this del dot j? Del dot j is equals to dou rho v by dou t means what? The divergence of the current density is equals to dou rho v by dou t means the current can have a divergence. That is the meaning of this equation. The current can have a divergence. It will give a non-zero divergence if and only if you can vary the volume charges with respect to time. Right? So that is the meaning of this. So if you are able to change the volume charges continuously, then the current can have a divergence. So that is the meaning of this del dot j is equals to dou rho v by dou t. Okay, some people will write this one as minus also here. Okay, you can also take minus del dot j is equals to minus dou rho v by dou t because I have considered one volume charge. Okay, the current coming out of that volume charge will be decaying, right? So that's why I can take minus here. If it is minus, this one also will be minus. Okay, you can take plus or minus, no problem, because the current is decaying, right, as the time increases. So that's why I am writing minus here. So some people will write minus and plus, so both are correct here. Okay, both will not be in the options. You must take care about that. Okay, so this is the continuity equation. Now if you come to this equation, what is the meaning of this equation? See, closed integral j dot ds is equals to 0. Why it is 0? Already we know I is equals to open surface integral of j dot ds. That is the thing we know. Okay, but here I have written a closed surface. It is somewhat strange when we know what we know. Okay, see, observe this closed surface integral of j dot ds. So what is closed surface integral of j dot ds? Means this closed surface integral of j dot ds will exist if this is existing. If this is existing, this will be existing. Del dot j will be a non-zero value if you can supply the volume charges continuously. Okay, so if you are not able to supply the volume charges continuously, there cannot be divergence of the current. That is the point you can identify. So after some time, after a finite amount of time, what happens? The charges will be vacated from the volume charge, right? So if the charges are vacated from the volume charge, there is no chance of the divergence for the current, right? So that's why del dot j will be 0 after some time. So if the del dot j is equal to 0, so automatically closed integral j dot ds also will be 0. So that's why closed integral j dot ds is equals to 0. It is saying that is law of conservation of charge. It is law of conservation of charge. Means what? The entering current is equals to the leaving current. So if you can give you the charge, if you can give you the current, and that current will leave the surface. Okay, you cannot create the charge within that volume to get the continuously the divergence, right? So you cannot create the charge inside the volume charge given. Okay, so that's why you have to give the charge and automatically the charge will come out of the volume charge. Okay, then only it happens. Understand? So that's why closed integral j dot ds is equals to 0. Right or not? Next, come to the Ohms law. So from this, we are defining the Ohms law. What we know Ohms law? V is equals to IR, right? Okay, before that, there is an origin for the Ohms law is J is equals to sigma E. It is called as the first form of a Ohms law. Okay, from this one only we came to know that V is equals to IR. V is equals to IR. So from this, if you can consider see, if you can consider what is del dot j? Del dot j is equals to dou rho v by dou t. Suppose if I consider the divergence in only one direction, then I can get the j is equals to sigma e. Because the current in the conductor will be having a single direction only. Suppose if I equate this, if I write this del dot j as in only one direction derivation, then I will get the j is equals to sigma e, and from this only we will get the j is equals to sigma e. Okay, so from this E is equals to j by sigma. E means electric field intensity, here sigma is the conductivity, right? So E is equals to j by sigma. If you take a very good conductor, means sigma will be infinity here, sigma will be infinity. What about the electric field intensity? The electric field intensity will be 0. So that's why, what is the meaning of this? There is no electric field within the conductor. There is no electric field within the conductor. That is the point you have to understand, right? Because if it is a very good conductor, there is no chance of the accumulation of the charge or storage of the charge. Always the charge will be flowing. If there is no accumulation of the charge, there is no chance of forming the electric field. That is the point you have to understand, right? Suppose if you take the perfect dielectric. So what is meant by perfect dielectric? Perfect dielectric means the conductivity sigma is equals to 0. If sigma is 0, what happens? E will be maximum. So E is equals to j divided by 0 means it will giving you the infinite. Means I am writing here maximum. Okay. So if there is a perfect dielectric is there, definitely there exists maximum electric field. Because there is a chance of there is no conductivity here. There is no conductivity here. So the charge will be accumulated there only. The charge will be accumulated there only. So because of the storage of the charge, there exists the electric field definitely. So this is the point you have to understand. So come to the next. And from this, so if you consider this volume charge, and from the volume charge, okay, so how the current will be decaying? The current will be decaying exponentially. Observe this. If you observe this, the charge rho v of t is equals to rho v into e power minus t into sigma divided by epsilon. Okay. So from this one only we are getting this one. Okay. Rho v of t is equals to rho v naught into e power minus t by t into sigma by epsilon is saying that is in any medium the charge will be decaying exponentially. Right? As the time increases, so definitely the charge will be decaying exponentially. That is the point you have to understand. How the charge will be decaying? At a rate of what? Epsilon by sigma. So epsilon by sigma is called as the relaxation time constant, and mostly you will be getting the questions from this relaxation time constant in the public sector unit examinations, right? So you have to focus on that, and mostly they will ask the units of the sigma by omega epsilon by sigma. Okay, epsilon by sigma. So this is called as the relaxation time constant. So if you consider the number of image charges, see, if you consider next, if you come to this point, so what is the point is here the number of image charges. So how the image charge will be occurred, how the image charge will be developed. Okay, suppose if you take any point charge, or line charge or volume charge or any sheet charge near to the equipotential surface or a conducting surface, okay, there must be equipotential surface. Generally the equipotential surfaces are conductors, right? The equipotential surfaces are conductors. So if you bring any point charge or line charge or volume charge or sheet charge near to the conducting surfaces, there exists one more induced charge under the conducting surface. So that is the point you have to observe. Okay, suppose if there are two infinite conducting sheets are there, okay, they are oriented, the angle between the two plates as phi, then the number of induced charges will be 360 divided by pi minus 1. Okay, so by using this you can find the number of image charges. Suppose if there is one sheet like this and one sheet like this, okay, let us suppose this is one conducting sheet, let us suppose one point charge is placed here. Okay, so how many image charges will be induced for this charge range? So for this one charge and for this plate one charge, the symmetry must be obtained here, and with respect to origin one more charge is obtained. Okay, suppose what is the angle between these two conducting sheets? It is 90 degrees. Okay, so how many number of charges will be existing? 360 divided by 90 minus 1. It is 4 minus 1. 3 image charges will be obtained for this kind of arrangement of the conducting sheets. So it is important and it will be asked in the public sector unit examination. So remember this one. Okay. So this is the image charges. So to exist the image charge, there must be an equipotential surface. So if there exists an equipotential surface, so definitely there will be image charge. That image charge will be opposite to the charge we have taken. Okay, so that is the point. Suppose if you take a plane surface, the charge will be exactly opposite to the magnitude, exactly equal to the magnitude of the charge you have taken and opposite to the charge. And also the distance between the charge we have taken to the plate or a conducting sheet is equal to the distance from the sheet to the induced charge. So the distance are same. Okay, if you take a conducting sheet, right? So but if you take a curvature sheet, if you take a curvature plane, equipotential plane, what happens? We cannot guarantee that the equal amount of negative charge will be induced or the equal amount of opposite charge will be induced, and we cannot guarantee that at equal distance the image charge will be induced. So if you take any curvature plane, then we cannot guarantee that the opposite charge, the equivalent and opposite charge will be placed there, and also it will be at equal distance from the conducting plane. Okay, we cannot guarantee that. So if you go to the energy densities, so what is energy densities in the electric field? The energy densities in the electric field means dW, this means energy divided by the volume. Okay, energy density means energy divided by the volume. Okay, so it is equivalent to half epsilon E square, and it can be written as half D into E. Right? So this is called as the energy densities in the volume. Okay, so what are the units? Joules per meter cube. Units are joules per meter cube. For this one also, joules per meter cube. Joules per meter cube. The units of this one and this one are joules per meter cube. Right? Now come to the capacitances and inductances. Here the capacitance is equal to Q divided by V. We know this. But what is Q from the Gauss law? The Gauss law is saying that integral closed surface integral of d dot ds divided by what is V? V is called as a voltage. I am writing this one as minus integral E dot dl. Minus integral E dot dl. Sometimes you may give positive also, no problem. Okay, so you have to give the importance to this minus. But we know V is equal to minus E dot dl. Okay, what is this? It is a Gauss law. This Gauss law is saying that closed integral d dot ds is equal to Q. Right? So from the potential definition, the work done, right? Work done per the unit charge. So it will be is equals to minus E dot dl. I am writing this one as V. Similarly, if you come to the inductance here, what is inductance? Inductance is equals to magnetic flux divided by the current. Magnetic flux divided by the current. Observe this, the symmetry. Capacitance is equals to electric flux divided by the voltage. Inductance is equals to magnetic flux divided by the current. That is the point. Okay. Suppose if you take this one psi m means what? Magnetic flux. So that's why there will be a non-zero magnetic flux. So we know open surface integral of B dot ds is equals to a flux. Okay, because Weber per meter square into meter square gives you Webers. Webers are the units of the magnetic flux. Suppose if unexpectedly if you put the closed surface here, then it will be wrong for you, because the closed surface integral of B dot ds is equals to 0. Okay, don't put the closed surface integral there. Don't put the closed line integral there. This is the point you have to understand. Okay, so this is capacitances and inductances. And we should know that the either may be capacitance or inductance, either may be capacitance or inductance, conductance, resistance, whatever it may be, it is not dependent on the voltage and currents. They are not dependent on the electrical parameters. First of all, you should concentrate on that. Okay? On what they will be depending? They will be depending on the physical dimensions of the capacitor. If you take the parallel plate capacitor, okay, C is equals to epsilon A by D. Epsilon is the material constant, A is the cross-sectional area of the plate, and also D is the distance between the two plates. Okay, so this is the capacitance. If you come to the inductance for the parallel line wire, here I have taken the parallel plate, here I have taken the parallel line wire. If there are two wires, parallel line wires are there with the radius of each wire is small r, and the distance between the two wires is d. Okay, then the inductance is defined as mu naught divided by pi into h. H represents the length of the wire. Okay, h represents the length of the wire into ln of d by r. Okay, so it is the inductance. It is the inductance of a parallel line wire. Inductance found by the parallel line wire. Let us suppose these two wires are separated by distance d, and each wire is having a radius small r. Okay, and each wire is having a length of h. Then the inductance formed by this parallel line wire can be written as mu naught divided by pi into h ln of d by r. Okay, so this is the inductance for the parallel line wire. Suppose if you go to the coaxial cable, like the coaxial cable, it is equivalent to the concentric cylinders geometry, right? It is a coaxial cable, nothing but what? One conductor will be inside, one conductor will be outside. So there will be inner conductor and outer conductor, right? So it is just like a concentric cylinders. Right? If you consider the inner one as one equipotential surface, outer conductor as one equipotential surface, so there exists a capacitance between the two conductors. So the capacitance is equals to 2 pi epsilon h divided by ln b by a. Right? So what is h here? So 2 pi epsilon is the constant. Right? So what is h? H is the height of the length of the cylinder. Right, the length of the coaxial cable, or what is the B and A? B is the radius of the outer conductor, and A is the radius of the inner conductor, or B is the radius of the outer cylinder, A is the radius of the inner cylinder. So this is the point you have to understand. Always in the numerator of this ln b by a, so this must be greater than. So the numerator value giving you the outer conductor radius. Okay, so this is the concentric cylinder's capacitance, and it can be applied to the coaxial cable also, because the coaxial cable is just like a concentric cylinders, right? Similar to this, if you take the concentric cylinders inductance, okay, the inductance between the two wires, means inner conductor and outer conductors, will be, how much it will be? The inductance between the two conductors will be is equals to mu naught divided by 2 pi into h ln of b by a. And these two formulas, two expressions are very important while we are going for the transmission lines chapter. Okay, there the capacitance is defined per unit length. Here inductance also defined per unit length. Here this length will go here, here the length will go here. Okay, so there you will get 2 pi epsilon divided by ln b by a. Here mu naught divided by 2 pi ln b by a. Okay, so you have to remember this, but these are the capacitances for the concentric cylinders and capacitance and inductances for the concentric cylinders. Okay, here h represents the height of the concentric cylinder, right? So if you come to the concentric spheres, okay, it is equivalent to 4 pi epsilon divided by 1 by a minus 1 by e, 1 by b. So again, A is representing the inner sphere radius, B is representing the outer sphere radius, right? So always it must be a positive value. So that's why it is given, the first one is giving you the 1 divided by small, means large, 1 divided by large, giving you the small. So this value must be more and this value must be less. So that means what? The A value must be small, then only it will give a large value. The B value must be large, then only it will give a small value. Right? So always remember like this. So 4 pi epsilon divided by 1 by A minus 1 by B. This is called as the concentric spheres capacitance. Concentric spheres capacitance. Suppose if you take an isolated sphere, then what will be the capacitance? The capacitance will be 4 pi epsilon divided by 1 by A. What is meant by isolated sphere? Isolated sphere means this outer conductor will be at infinity distance. This outer conductor will be, outer sphere will be, conducting sphere will be at infinity distance. If B is infinity, then what about 1 by B? 1 by B will be 0. So 4 pi divided by 1 by epsilon. So this is equals to 4 pi epsilon into A. So this is called as the capacitance for the isolated sphere. This is called as the capacitance for isolated sphere. Isolated sphere. It is capacitance for the isolated sphere. Right? What? A is what? A is the radius of the sphere what we are observing. Okay? What we are physically it will be visible. Okay? So this is C is equals to 4 pi epsilon into A. Right? So this is a capacitance and inductance, and these are enough for your examination. Okay, the capacitance for the parallel bed and the inductance for the parallel wire, and capacitance for the concentric cylinders, inductance for the concentric cylinders, right? And the capacitance for the concentric spheres and capacitance for the isolated sphere. If you observe all these things, see, observe this. If you observe all these things, these all are, this one epsilon A by D. What is this? L. L also material constant and physical length and physical diameters and the distance between the lines. See, observe this. Each and every one is dependent on the physical dimensions of the inductor or a capacitor. Even it may be inductor, a capacitor or inductor. So both are dependent on the physical dimensions of that inductor or a capacitance. Okay, so they are not dependent on C. Even though we are taking this one, C is equals to Q by V, L is equals to psi by I, but after deducting this, we came to know that they are dependent on the physical dimensions of that inductor and capacitors. Okay, so you have to focus on this, and it is a very, very important interview question also, right? So this is the inductance and capacitances, right? So next come to the very, very important concept in the electromagnetic theory. So in this subject, a very, very important concept here is the Maxwell's equations. The Maxwell's equations for the static fields and the time varying fields are very, very important. Without this Maxwell's equation, these 8 Maxwell's equations, studying of the EMFT is going vain. Okay, so that's why you have to be very careful while dealing with the Maxwell's equations, whether it is for the time varying fields or the static fields. Okay, there is a small difference between the equations for the time varying fields and the static fields. Okay, so now, so if you come to the Maxwell's equation, okay, so Maxwell's equations are nothing but they are the collection of the equations from the Gauss law and the Ampere's law. Okay, so if you observe this, see, if you come to the static electromagnetic fields, the Maxwell's equations are, these are the integral forms and point forms. Okay, so here closed integral d dot ds is equals to q. It is from the Gauss law. Okay, it is the Gauss law in the point. It is the Gauss law in the integral form. Okay, if you apply the divergence theorem for this, you will get del dot d is equals to rho b. Okay, you should know the importance of this. What you should know the statement of this first equation. These all the equation. You should know the physical importance of the each and every equation. So what is the closed integral d dot ds is equals to q. So what is the Gauss law saying? The Gauss law is saying that the net electric flux leaving any closed surface, enclosing surface, is equal to the charge enclosed in that volume. Okay, so this is the Gauss law, right? So similarly, del dot D is equals to rho V. So the divergence of the electric flux density giving you the charge density, volume charge density. That means the divergence of the electric flux density giving you the strength at that charge. Okay, outside that charge del dot D is 0. That is the point, you have to understand that. Okay, so if you come to this, so closed integral E dot dl is equals to 0. So what is the meaning of this? Closed line integral of E dot dl. Okay, so line integral means we are calculating the electric field intensity on the line. Okay, on the line, but E by V, E means what? V by volts per meter into meter, volts per meter into meter gives you the voltage. The voltage in the closed loop. The voltage in the closed loop gives you 0, right? The algebraic sum of the voltages within the closed loop is 0. So that is called as the KVL. Okay, so it is closed line integral of E dot dl. So if you observe all these equations, all these 4 equations, all are the closed line integrals and closed surface integrals. Okay, 1 and 3 are the closed surface integrals, 2 and 4 equations are the closed line integrals. This is the thing you have to understand. Even it may be in the static fields or it may be in the time varying fields, all are the closed line integrals only. Line integrals and the closed surface integrals. Okay, but see, observe this. So it is the second equation. So the total algebraic sum of the voltages within the closed loop gives you 0. Now what about del cross E? Del cross E means what? What is the del? Already you know what is meant by del. Del means the spatial variation of the quantity in the direction of space. Right? The variation of the quantity in the direction of space. What is the direction of space? In the x, in the y, in the z. Okay, suppose if you want to write the del cross means if you taking the cross product, always it represents the variation of the quantity perpendicular to that vector. Okay, the variation of that quantity perpendicular to that vector. So if you go along perpendicular to the electric field intensity, the variation of the electric field intensity perpendicular to that will be 0. That means what is the meaning of this? The curl of the electric field is 0 means it is showing that it is an irrotational vector. The electric field is a irrotational vector. We name this one also as a conservative field. It is also called as the conservative field. Right? So this is what? Suppose if you put E is equals to, already we know, minus grad V. Okay. Suppose if you write del cross minus grad V is equals to how much? 0. Because the curl of gradient is 0. Okay. By using mathematical also we can write that. So what is the meaning of this? Del cross E is equals to 0. For the time varying fields, it is showing that the electric field is a irrotational vector. There is no curl for the electric field. There is no curl of the electric field means the curling nature of the electric field is 0 means the electric flux lines will never form the circles. Okay, that is the point you have to understand. So now if you come to the third equation, closed integral B dot ds is equals to 0. So what is closed integral B dot ds is equals to 0? What is B dot ds? B dot ds, B means Weber per meter square into meter square, Webers only. So within the closed surface we are finding the Webers, means we are finding the magnetic flux. We are finding the magnetic flux. So within the closed surface, the total magnetic flux is 0. If you take any closed surface, so the entering magnetic flux is equals to leaving magnetic flux, because always the magnetic flux lines are circles. Always the magnetic flux lines are circles. Suppose if you take the board, okay, if you take the board, the flux lines will enter the board and come out of the board. Enter the board, come out of the board, because these all are circles. Suppose if you take any closed surface, the magnetic flux lines will enter and leave, will enter and leave, will enter and leave. Suppose if you take this room, okay, the magnetic flux lines will enter out of the room and come into the room, enter out of the room and come into the room. Okay, so that's why always the magnetic flux lines are circles. So we cannot say where the source and sink of the magnetic flux lines. Okay, always they will be in the circular nature only. Okay, so that's why the total entering flux into the volume is equals to leaving flux. Okay, what is the net flux inside this? Entering flux is equals to leaving flux, right? What is the net flux? Net flux will be 0. Net flux will be 0 within the closed surface. So what is the actually meaning of this one is, it is saying that there is no, see what is the entering flux and leaving flux means, okay, within that closed surface only there is a positive kind of, observe this, there is a positive kind of flux and a negative kind of flux. Okay, positive kind of flux, negative kind of flux is there in that volume, in that closed surface. So that means what? So wherever if you take any closed surface, so we are getting the entering flux is equals to leaving flux, means there will be positive kind of polarities will be there, negative kind of polarities will be there. So these are the magnetic polarities. So two types of polarities are present in that closed loop. Okay, so that's why we name this one as no monopoles exist for the magnets. Okay, if you take any magnet, there is no monopoles for the magnets. This is the thing. North pole and south poles will be existing together. Okay, North pole and the south poles cannot be separated physically. Okay, if you break the one bar magnet into 100 number of pieces also, you will get 100 number of north and south poles. So that is the meaning of that. Okay, so if you take any closed surface, within that closed surface, the total magnetic flux is 0 because of the south pole and north poles will be present even in the closed surface, even the small closed surface. Okay, so that's why closed integral b dot ds is equals to 0. So that total entire integration showing that there is no monopole for the magnets. Okay, now if you come to this equation, if you apply the Gauss divergence theorem for this, what you will get? Del dot b is equals to 0. So the divergence of the magnetic flux is 0, means it is representing the solenoid nature. So already we know the magnetic flux lines are circles. The magnetic flux lines are circles, right? The magnetic flux lines are circles. What is B? B is equals to del cross A, right? I'm denoting with the magnetic flux density with the vector magnetic potential. From there also we can write like this. Okay, B is equals to del cross A. What is del cross A? A is the vector magnetic potential. So the divergence of the curl is 0. We can go like that. Okay, but before that you should know that is del dot B is equals to 0. What is del dot B? Del dot B means the divergence of the magnetic flux is 0, means there is no divergence for the magnets. Okay, there is no divergence for the magnetic fields because always they are curling in nature. So the divergence of the curling nature fields will be 0, right? The divergence of the curling nature fields will be 0. Okay, so del dot B is equals to 0. So what is del dot B is equals to 0? The magnetic flux lines will never form straight lines. Okay, the divergence will be existing for the outward nature fields, radially outward fields. Okay, the magnetic field, the divergence of the any vector will be existing. Okay, the divergence of the any vector will be existing for the fields which are having outward in nature. Okay, the fields which are in the circulation in nature or curling in nature, they won't be having the divergence. Okay, so that's why del dot B is equals to 0. Okay, the divergence of the magnetic field is 0, right? So this is represented by the solenoids. Suppose if you come to the fourth equation, so what is this fourth equation? Sorry, this is I. Okay, so closed integral h dot dl is equals to I. So what is this closed integral h dot dl is equals to I? So it is called as the Ampere's law. So if you observe this equation properly, closed integral h dot dl is equals to I means ampere per meter into meter is equals to amperes only. So within the closed loop the current will exist. Within the closed loop the current will exist. So in the word form, how can we write that is, it is a Maxwell's, it is a Ampere's law, right? So what is the Ampere's law? The circulation on any closed line, the circulation of the magnetic field on any closed line is equal to the current crossing out of that surface. The current crossing out of that surface. So this is called as an Ampere's law. It is called as an Ampere's law. Now, see, this is I. Now come to the fourth, this one. If you write the Stokes theorem for this, you will get del cross H is equals to J. You will get del cross H is equals to J. So what is del cross H? The curl of the magnetic field intensity is the current density. Ampere per, this is ampere per meter into per meter. Ampere per meter square gives you ampere per meter square. So it is a property. This property is called as what? The ampere per meter square are the units of the current density. So del cross H is equals to J. Okay, what it is actually, del cross H is equals to J means the strength of the magnetic field at that cause on the wire. Outside the wire, del cross H is equals to 0. Outside the wire, del cross H is equals to 0. There is no current density outside the current conductor. That is the point you have to understand. Okay. Del dot D is equals to rho V. Del cross, observe this, del dot D is equals to rho V. And del cross H is equals to J. These two are representing the strength at the causes. This is the strength at the charge. Okay. Due to which the electric field is generated. It is called as the strength at the cause, due to which the magnetic field is generated. So if you calculate the del cross H outside the conductor, what happens? You will get 0 here. That is the point you have to understand. This is also called as del cross H is equals to J. Outside the conductor means what is the current density? The current density will be 0 outside the conductor. Okay. So that's why these two are called as the strengths at the cause. Okay. The strength at the cause. Okay. So these are called as the 4 Maxwell's equations. Okay. For the static fields. Here the point we have to identify that is, these all are the closed line integrals and surface integrals. So 2 are the closed line integral, 2 are the surface integrals, 2 are the divergence expressions, 2 are the curl expressions. Okay. Wherever there is a closed surface integral is there you will get wherever there is a closed surface integral is there, okay, there you will get the divergence expression. Wherever you will get these two are closed surface integral, there you are getting the divergence expression. Wherever there is a closed line integral is there, here and here you will get the curl expressions. Okay. So this is the point you have to understand, right? Now come to the next topic, the Maxwell's equation for the time varying fields. So before coming to this, we should know one thing. Okay, here the first and third equations are not at all changed here. You should remember that. The first and third equations are, they are not at all changed here. They remain same. Okay, here the line integrals only are modified here. Line integrals of the Maxwell's equations are modified here because they are talking about the voltages and currents. That is the point. What is this actual expression? The KVL, right? So volts per meter into meter, voltage. It is what? Ampere per meter into meter, amperes means current. So they are talking about the voltages and currents of a time varying source, because if you are talking about the time varying fields, okay, so time varying currents will be existing, time varying magnetic field will be existing. Suppose if I come with this second Maxwell's equation, it is related to the voltage. If the voltage is time varying, the field generated due to that voltage is also the time varying electric field. Okay, if the current is time varying, okay, the field generated due to the time varying current is also the time varying. Okay, depending on the cause only, the effect will be produced. Depending on the cause only, the effect will be produced. Okay. So this is the thing you have to understand. So the first and the third equations are remain same. They are as it is of the static electromagnetic fields. Okay. But the second and fourth equations are modified for the time varying fields. Right. So because they are explaining the time varying currents and time varying voltages. That means they are the causes of the time varying electric field and the time varying magnetic field. Okay. So that's why you have to concentrate on the second and fourth Maxwell's equation. Okay. So for the time varying magnetic fields. So before going into the time varying magnetic fields, before going into the Maxwell's equation, before discussing the Maxwell's equation for the time varying magnetic fields, time varying electric and magnetic fields. Okay. You observe the Faraday's law. Okay. So Faraday's law, what is the Faraday's law? The Faraday's law is saying that is, see, observe this expression. Closed integral E dot dl is equals to minus d psi m by dt. What is the meaning of this? If you come to this, the Maxwell's equation for the static electromagnetic fields. So this is the second equation, right? So this is the equation. In this, it is 0, but in this, it is non-zero value. So why means it is a static field. It is 0. It is representing the KVL. Okay, all the voltages are taken as the DC voltages. Okay. So that's why the algebraic sum of the voltages is 0. Okay. Suppose what is the Faraday's law is saying that is, okay, what is the meaning of this second equation? Within the closed loop, there is no voltage, right? Within the closed loop, there is no voltage. That means the algebraic sum of the voltages are 0. But here, what he is saying that is, within the closed loop also, there is a non-zero voltage is existing, volt per meter into meter. So within the closed loop, we are getting a non-zero voltage. It is because of what? Faraday's law. What is the Faraday's law saying that is, even in a closed loop, there exists a voltage. EMF is induced. When means, if you change the magnetic flux with respect to time. So if there is a change in the magnetic flux with respect to time, there exists the voltage. It is given by the Faraday's law. Right? So if there is a change in the magnetic flux with respect to time, the EMF is induced. Okay, that EMF is formed within the closed loop. Okay, within the closed loop. So even it is a closed conductor, the EMF is induced. But if you come to the static fields, the closed integral E dot dl is 0. Okay, here it is induced. EMF is induced, it is a non-zero value. So the difference between the static and time varying fields is, this is 1. Okay, so closed integral E dot dl is the EMF or a voltage. Okay, it is equivalent to minus d psi m by dt. Here minus I am representing the Lenz's law. Always the EMF induced is opposing the change in the flux. Okay. So now I am writing this psi m as, psi m means what? Magnetic flux. I am writing this psi m as integral of B into ds. Okay. Magnetic flux psi m is equals to integral B into dx. I am sending this d by dt inside the integration. Okay. Then I will get minus dou p by dou t into ds. So closed line integral E dot dl is equals to integral minus dou p by dou t dot ds. Okay, this is called as Faraday's law. So from this I can write closed integral E dot dl is equals to, closed line integral E dot dl is equals to my open surface integral of minus dou p by dou t. So I am writing this one, right? So like this. So even in a closed loop, there exists the voltage. That voltage equivalent to what? Minus integral dou p by dou t into ds. Though this is a voltage format, you have to understand this. Okay. So what is this voltage format? Observe this. The time varying magnetic flux giving you the voltage. You have to understand that. The time varying magnetic flux giving you the voltage. Right? If you come to this. So if you are applying the Stokes theorem for this, if you apply the Stokes theorem, what you will get? Del cross E is equals to minus dou B by dou t. So del cross E is equals to minus dou B by dou t. What is this expression? This is right. Del cross E is equals to minus dou B by dou t. So how did we get this expression? By applying the Stokes theorem to this. Okay. So del cross E is equals to minus dou B by dou t. So what is del cross E? Del cross E means the variation of the electric field in the space. How it is varying? The orthogonal variation of the, because del cross represents the orthogonal variation of the electric field. Okay, in the direction of space. The orthogonal variation of the electric field in space, right? It is equivalent to minus dou B by dou t. It is equal to minus dou B by dou t means what? The change in the magnetic flux. The change in the magnetic flux. So from this, what you can say? The time varying magnetic flux produces the electric field, but that produced electric field orthogonal in space. That produced electric field is orthogonal in space. Okay, so the time varying magnetic field produces a electric field, but the generated electric field will be orthogonal to this magnetic flux. Okay, so the time varying electric flux, the time varying magnetic flux is producing the electric field. That is the point you have to understand. Okay, the generated electric flux is equal to the is perpendicular to the orthogonal to the magnetic flux density, magnetic field. Okay, now if you come to the third equation is also same. Okay, it cannot be changed. But if you come to the fourth equation, closed line integral of H dot dl is equals to IC plus ID. Here what is IC? IC means conduction current density. Okay, IC means conduction current, ID means the displacement current. So why these are, see, when you compare this one and this one, okay, when you compare this one and this one, there is one more extra term is added. So how we got this extra term means because of the inconsistency of the Ampere's law. So because of the inconsistency of the Ampere's law, the Maxwell's has modified the fourth equation for the time varying fields. Okay, so why he has modified means, suppose if you take a simple capacitor, okay, so within that capacitor there exists, suppose if you take any AC circuit, okay, if you take any AC circuit, if it is the DC circuit means the source is AC source. Okay, if it is connected to any capacitor, what happens? So within the conductor there exists a general current, that is conventional current. Okay, that is the conventional current IC, like this one only. This IC and I are same. Okay, but within the capacitor, what happens? There will be a dielectric material. It is a non-conducting material will be existing there. So even though there is a dielectric material or non-conducting material within the capacitor plates, the same current is coming out of the capacitor. The same current is coming out of the capacitor. Okay, even though there is a non-conducting material between the capacitor plates, then how it is happening? Okay, it is due to the displacement of the charges, or it is also called as the field induced between the, it is due to the field induced between the capacitor plates. Okay, field induced between the capacitor plate. So between the capacitor plate there will be field induced, right? So due to that field there exists one kind of current. That current is called as the displacement current. Okay, that is represented with ID. Okay, don't think that this, observe this, IC is equals to ID. That is the first point you have to understand. Okay, so within the capacitor IC is equals to ID. The conduction current is equals to the displacement current within the conductor only. Okay, within the capacitor only. Okay, the conduction current IC is equals to displacement current. These two are equal within the capacitor. Okay, so outside this we cannot guarantee that. Okay, but IC is equals to ID. Don't think that if IC is equals to ID, you can write IC or 2IC or 2ID. It is not possible. Okay. So out of these two, one is existing one time. Okay. Suppose if you are calculating the current in the conductor, only the IC will exist. ID will be 0. Okay. Suppose if you are calculating the current in the capacitor, okay, if you are calculating the current in the capacitor, what happens? The IC will not be existing and ID will be existing. So within the capacitor plate, the ID will be displacement current will exist. Okay, outside the capacitor, the displacement current will not be existing. So many of the people will be having a doubt here. So if IC is equals to ID, why can't I write 2IC or 2ID? Okay, it is not possible because out of these two current, one is existing one time. Okay, they will not be simultaneously non-zero values. They cannot be non-zero values simultaneously. If one is existing means other will be zero in any medium. Okay, suppose if you go to the conductor in a wire, IC will be presenting, ID will be 0. Okay, so within the capacitor, IC will be 0, ID will be existing. So within the capacitor, displacement current will exist. Outside the capacitor means within the conductor wire, the IC will be existing. So this is the point. Then this is the modification given by the Maxwell. Okay. So if you have written like this, so del cross H is equals to JC plus JD. Already we know JC is nothing but what? JC is equals to sigma E only, and from this we can get the current is equals to I is equals to integral J into ds. It is the general current only, the conventional current. Okay. Now we are defining the JD now. So by using the continuity equation, so we can write JD. Okay, JD is equals to dou D by dou T. JD is equals to dou D by dou T. Okay, D means what? The electric flux density. If we change the electric flux, observe this. If we change the electric flux with respect to time, the current is producing. This is the current format. If you observe this, it is a Coulomb per meter square divided by the seconds. Coulomb per meter square divided by the second. So Coulomb per second gives you current. Per meter square gives you current density. So current density, I am writing this one as JD as current density. Okay. So from this you can get the ID. ID is equals to integral dou D by dou T into ds. Right. So this is the story you should know about the Maxwell's equation. So there are only two modified equations in the Maxwell's for the time varying fields when compared to the static fields. Okay, here the line integrals are modified. Okay, the first line integral means the second Maxwell's equation is modified by the Faraday's law. Okay, and the fourth one is modified by the Maxwell's only. Okay, by using the Faraday's law, we are writing the second Maxwell's equation, and by using the inconsistency of the Ampere's law, we are writing the fourth Maxwell's equation. Okay, so these are called as the Maxwell's equation for the time varying fields. But if you observe this clearly, what is this? JD is equals to dou D by dou T. What is ID? ID is equals to integral dou D by dou T into ds. So what is this actually? It is a current. How we are getting the current? If you change the electric flux with respect to time, we are getting the current. If you observe this, if you change the magnetic flux with respect to time, we are getting the voltage. Very, very important. If we change the magnetic flux with respect to time, we are getting the voltage. If we change the electric flux with respect to time, it is the current. Understand? So this is the point you have to understand. So already we have discussed the Faraday's law and Ampere's law. So it is modified by what? Already we have taken the capacitor example. So closed integral H dot dl is equals to IC plus integral dou D by dou T dot ds. Right? So this is from the modified Ampere's inconsistency. Ampere's law inconsistency. Okay? So because of the inconsistency, so we have to add one more current within the capacitor. This is the current in the capacitor. This current is called as the displacement current. This current is called as the displacement current. Already we know dou d by dou t is called as the JD, displacement current density. Okay. Now we came to know that what is this? Del cross E is equals to minus dou b by dou t, right? Del cross E is equals to minus dou b by dou t we got from this. Okay, so we can also write it is minus mu into dou h by dou t. You should understand that the time varying magnetic field produces an orthogonal space varying electric field. Observe this. The time varying magnetic field produces what's happening? Electric field. But this electric field is a spatial variation. The space varying electric field, and also the produced electric field is, because I am taking the cross product, right? So the produced electric field is orthogonal to the magnetic field, right? The produced electric field orthogonal to the magnetic field, right? Similarly, if you take the electric field here, okay, if you change the electric field with respect to time, already we know the time varying electric field what is a current format, right? So now if you change the electric field with respect to time, what's happening? The magnetic field is generated. If you change the electric field with respect to time, what's happening? The magnetic field is generated. Which kind of magnetic field it is? It is a space varying magnetic field, and the magnetic field produced here is orthogonal to the electric field you have taken. That is the point. So the time varying electric field produces a orthogonal space varying magnetic field. What is the meaning of this? So here we have taken a magnetic field, it is producing an electric field which is orthogonal to this. Here we have taken this generated electric field here. Observe this. The generated electric field here, if we change this electric field, generated electric field with respect to time, what we are getting? We are getting the magnetic field again. Okay, which kind of magnetic field? The generated magnetic field is a space varying and it is orthogonal to the taken electric field. If you take this magnetic field, observe this, if you take this magnetic field, if it is varied with respect to time, if you take this magnetic field and if you vary this magnetic field with respect to time, again what you will get? The time varying magnetic field produces an orthogonal space varying electric field. Similarly, if you take the electric field, if you vary with respect to time, what we are getting? A orthogonal space varying magnetic field. So what's happening here? Every time if we change the electric field, we are getting the orthogonal magnetic field. Orthogonal means perpendicular to the field you have taken. Okay. Suppose if you take the electric field, it is producing magnetic field, but this produced magnetic field will be orthogonal to the electric field. Similarly, you have taken the magnetic field here. Okay, this magnetic field is producing the electric field, but this produced electric field is perpendicular to the magnetic field. So one generates another, so it is a self-sustaining phenomena. So it will not stop. One generates another, okay. Electric field produces the magnetic field and magnetic field produces electric field. So it is a self-sustaining phenomena, okay. So this self-sustaining phenomena is also called as the oscillating phenomena, right? It is oscillating phenomena. So how can we get this kind of effect? So this kind of effect will be obtained if and only if you take that kind of cause only. So which kind of nature it is? It is an oscillating nature, right? One generates another and one generates another. Right? So that means what? We are getting this kind of effect means we should have this kind of cause also. That kind of oscillating cause is called as the oscillating current element, or also called as AC time harmonic source. AC time harmonic source or AC source. Okay, if you take AC current source, definitely there exists, the charge will be moving. One time acceleration, one time deceleration. Okay. So due to that acceleration and deceleration, what happens? Due to those acceleration and deceleration of the charges, you will get electric field and magnetic field. So during the deceleration, what we are getting? what we are getting during the deceleration, what we are getting, the accumulation of charges will be getting. So due to that accumulation, we will get the electric field. Okay, so during the acceleration, what's happening? The charges will be accelerated. So during that, the current will be more. So due to that current, you will be having the magnetic field. But both are electric and magnetic fields are function of times. Okay, so to get these kind of effects, there must be one source, one time harmonic source must be there at the one side. Okay, so if you keep on changing that, if you keep on changing the current with respect to time, what happens? There exists the field into the space. There exists field into the space. That is the point you have to understand. See, observe this. If you keep on changing the current, if you keep on changing the current means, okay, current, due to that current, what happens? A magnetic field will be produced. So due to that magnetic field, if that magnetic field is time varying, what happens? It produces the electric field. It produces the electric field. But this kind of electric field will be in which? It is varying in space. This del represents the electric field is varying in space. Right? That is the point. Okay, suppose if you take the voltage, okay, so due to that voltage, what you will get? Electric field. So if that electric field is varied with respect to time, what happens? Okay, during the acceleration, observe this, during the acceleration, you will get the magnetic field. Okay, due to that magnetic field, you will get the electric field, and this produced electric field is perpendicular to the magnetic field which we have taken. Okay, during the deceleration, when there is a reduction in the speed, what happens? Reduction in the speed of the charge carriers, the electric field will be produced. So due to that electric field, you are getting the magnetic field, and this magnetic field is space varying. Okay, and the produced magnetic field is perpendicular to this. So the thing you should do that is, you take the time varying source at one side of the medium. Definitely the waves will be generated and propagated into the medium. That is the point you have to take. So these are two equations are the causes of the E fields, EM fields, electromagnetic fields. And simultaneously we are getting the electric and magnetic fields. Right? Simultaneously we are getting the electric and magnetic fields. So this is called as an EM wave. Okay, by using these two equations, we are getting the EM wave. That EM wave in free space, suppose if I take the free space, okay, if you rearrange these equations, okay, if you rearrange this equation, we will get these waves. These waves are called as the EM wave equations for the free space. I have taken the free space equations. So del square E is equals to mu epsilon dou square E by dou t square. Del square H is equals to mu epsilon dou square H by dou t square. That means if you take the source, okay, which is time harmonic, and okay, so the same electric field will be varying with respect to the space. Okay, varying into the space. And one more important thing is, you should know the properties of the time harmonic source. Okay, the properties of the time harmonic source. The second derivative of the any function will give you the same function. If you observe this, if you take the second derivative of this function, you are getting the same function. Or if you take the second derivative of this function, will giving you the same function. Okay, so here it is called as del square E is equals to mu epsilon dou square E by dou t square. Okay, suppose if you write del square H is equals to mu epsilon dou square H by dou t square. So these two equations are called as the EM wave equations for the free space. Okay, so this is representing what? This is representing the harmonic in space. This is representing the harmonic in time. Okay, so this is the point you have to understand. So these are very, very important. Okay, so these are up to the static and time varying electromagnetic fields. Okay, so this is up to the syllabus for the electrical and electronics people. Okay, so for the electrical people, up to here the syllabus is existing, so you can use this entire thing for the previous class, and if this one, okay, this entire thing is enough for you electrical people, and I guarantee out of this there is no question for you. You have to understand, even if it may be for the electronics people also, out of this there cannot be any question. So you have to be very carefully concentrate on each and every expression. You should know the importance of the each and every expression for this. Okay, thank you.